Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a sound demo. I added some cool visuals to my listening room for late night listening. I have the Fleetwood Deville speakers hooked up, Pass Labs XP10 preamp, XA 60.8 amps, Dana Fripp's Pontus 2 DAC. Let's see what this sounds like. I want to talk today about the Fleetwood Sound DeVille loudspeakers. Now, I've shown a sound demo when I first got them here on this channel. I've talked about them a little bit on the community page here on this channel, and I've shared some photos as well. I wrote a full written review maybe a couple of weeks ago now over at stevehufffphoto.com. I will link to that in the description. It's like an 8,000 word review where I just pour my heart out and share my feelings for these speakers. Now, the Fleetwood company, Fleetwood Sound, is a division of OMA, Oswald Mills Audio. Now, OMA have been around a long time, and they produce speakers that are, well, beyond my reach, but they're beautiful, they're gorgeous, they're bespoke, they're works of art. And if you have, $40,000 up to $300,000, you might want to take a look at OMA's offerings. They are truly one-of-a-kind speakers. They are gorgeous. But those speakers are out of the realm of possibility for someone like me, and I'm sure many of you watching. Now, there's a lot of people in this world with a lot of money, but there's also a lot of people, more so in this world, that don't have that kind of money to spend on audio. So what OMA has done, they created Fleetwood Sound with their aim to bring that beautiful sound from their OMA products. You're not going to get the full experience of that, but trickle down tech kind of, and make it into a more affordable product so more people can enjoy music, and I'll just say it, music with soul. A lot of high-end today, a lot of high-end products, especially, over the last 10 years or so, not all of them, but a lot of high-end products, from speakers to amplifiers to DACs to whatever, right? Your source, whatever. They have focused on reproducing hi-fi rather than music with soul. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can go listen to a really high-end system, and let's just say that system costs $50,000 total. I've heard a lot of these systems, and the music in some of them are lifeless, they're dry, they focus on the detail, like you're reading an encyclopedia and you want to get the most information, except that doesn't really jive well with music, at least from my ears. Now, maybe my ears are just old and worn, but when I listen to some of these speakers, these high-end, uber high-end systems, they just sound lifeless to me, like they're delivering detail over music. Now, music can move our soul. I'm a big believer in music healing the soul. If I'm ever down or stressed or depressed or sad or upset, I can go into my music room, turn on some music, and within a few minutes, my mind is relaxed. I'm calm, and I'm realizing how silly I am for being sad or upset or whatever it is, because these things never help us, right? Stress, if we stress about something, it just makes that situation worse, right? I'm not going to get off into that tangent, but music, I feel, can truly feed our soul and heal our soul and just make us feel better, right? It's almost like a visit to a chiropractor for me. I go in there, I melt into my couch, I listen for an hour or two, and I feel so much better when I leave the room. But a lot of today's systems, a lot of the speakers I've owned over the last 20, 30 years, I would buy them from Review Hype or reading a magazine review. Ooh, I want that. It's my dream speaker. I save the money, I buy it, I get it, and I'm disappointed with it after a month or two, or even the first day, because they can sound analytical, dry, too bright up top, not enough bass, right? Recessed mid-range. There's so many things. And listening to music is it's personal. What I like, you may not like. I'm not a fan of that dry, surgical, picked apart presentation, but there are people who are. It's like with a camera. Some people love the high resolution sensors so they can crop and get all that detail, while others like a good old 24 megapixel sensor because it offers the best of low light performance, of smoothness. The bigger the pixel, the better the quality of that pixel, the more light that pixel can soak in. So I'm a believer in the 24 megapixel kind of camera sensor because to me it has more life. It's more human, right? It's not as etched or surgical as those high resolution sensors. The same for me goes with music. So when Fleetwood Sound got on my radar, I started seeing some videos on YouTube. One popped up from the company themselves, and I started watching their videos, and I was like, that is a beautiful speaker.
This is the Deville loudspeaker from our new company, Fleetwood Sound. And the Deville is a two-way speaker that is horn loaded and uses high efficiency drivers like OMA.
And I will be king, and you will be queen. Though nothing will drive them away, we can beat them forever and ever.
Before you know it, I'm on their website reading about it. I read a review from the Absolute Sound, and I was like, I'm going to buy these because the company offers a 2-week in-home trial. I don't have any dealers, any hi-fi dealers within 4 or 5 hours of me. I live out in the boonies in the woods, and it was nice to see Fleetwood offer a 2-week in-home trial. So I pulled out the credit card. I first asked them some questions. They got back to me immediately. I placed the order. Within a few days, 3 big boxes arrived, and I unpacked them, and they were a sight to behold for sure. Much bigger than I thought. These speakers are big. Think Heresy IV from Klipsch, but not as deep. On the stands, they're wider and taller than the Forte 4. These are not small bookshelf speakers. I was reading some online forums where people were saying, these are too expensive for a bookshelf speaker. These are not a bookshelf speaker. These are a two-way speaker, yes, but they are big, and they offer music in a very they present music in a very lifelike way. As a matter of fact, I've never had a speaker like this in my listening room. They present music with soul. They not only live and breathe that music that comes from these speakers, but it has soul. It has a little bit of warmth. It's like standing there and the music surrounds you like a velvet glove, and it gives you this nice big hug, and you just feel right at home. They are built to a beautiful standard. They use real wood. They're built in Pennsylvania using real Pennsylvania ash. The top, the bottom, and the horn itself is torrefied, meaning roasted, right? They roast this wood, it darkens, and it also stabilizes the wood, so it's not going to expand and contract over time and give you issues. These are all solid wood. They're not MDF. They're not particle board. They're not cheap in any way, shape, or form in construction. The horn-loaded tweeter, the horn that the tweeter is in, is beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's also torrefied. So I get people coming in my room. I've had 3 or 4 people over, and they were just blown away by the looks of the Fleetwood Deville. Where did you get these? Where are these from? Who makes these? How much are they? And I sit down and I explain the speakers to them. My mom came over and she's like, whoa, those are beautiful. In the room, in the flesh, in person, these are impressive speakers. You can tell it's a next level jump up from the speakers that you normally pay, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, even $10,000 for. These are built to a very high standard. They're bespoke quality, they're heirloom quality. And with the lifetime warranty from Fleetwood Sound, they are speakers that you can hand down generation to generation.
Even though my eyes are hazy and my thoughts, they might be narrow. Where you been? Don't bother me. So I go insane, like I always do. And I call your name. She's alive like you.
I've never had a speaker like the DeVille in my space in my 35 years. And the reason is, and I'll try to be quick, but I want to convey how special these speakers are. And again, I'm not associated with Fleetwood or OMA. They didn't send them to me for a review. I didn't get a discount. I don't make commission if you buy a pair. This is all from right here, the heart. I paid for these on a credit card, and I have to pay that credit card off over the, quite a long haul here for me. These were a lot of money for me, and I really didn't need another set of speakers. I have speakers I'm pretty happy with. Besides the bass, the LaScalas for me are dream speakers. But right now I call these Fleetwoods a bucket list speaker. They are a step up from the LaScala for me in every way. They almost sound like the LaScala, but with a more refined top end and a bigger, tighter bottom end. These are horn-loaded speakers. The treble is horn-loaded. The woofer is a driver. But these speakers will never shout at you. They don't have that horn coloration pretty much at all. It might be there a little bit, but it's not offensive in any way. These do not sound like your traditional horn speakers. I used to have avant-garde Unos a long, long time ago, and these just blow away that first version of the Uno that I had back then. That was the first version of the Uno. They were colored, they were dry, the bass was lacking, even with their powered subs. But the Fleetwood Deville has such a balanced sound from top to bottom. You're not going to get that glaring top end. It's not going to sound gray or harsh. It's not going to have that grittiness or that grayness. It's not going to have a thin recessed mid-range. It's not going to have a weak bottom end. These have flesh on the bones. These speakers present music to you in such a fluid, smooth, realistic, human way, organic, ethereal even. And what I mean by that is it reaches out and touches your soul, right? It just sounds so good in the room.
When I give my heart, it will be completely, or I'll never give my heart. And the moment I can feel that you feel that way too, is when I fall in love with you.
The sound stage wraps around you. At one time I was listening and it sounded like the sound was coming from the room itself. And I've had that happen once or twice in the past, but it happened on a major scale with the DeVilles. Debbie was sitting listening with me one night because she loved the looks of the speakers. And sometimes she'll come in and listen, and usually she gets bored and she's like, oh, they sound good, and she leaves. I look over at Debbie, who I put in the sweet spot, and I was to the right. And these sound great off axis, by the way. And she had tears coming down her eyes. And I was like, what's the matter? She's like, these stupid speakers made me cry. And she got into the song I was playing, and the emotions came out. And she said, whatever you paid for these speakers, it's worth it. It doesn't matter what you paid for them. It is worth it. I said, well, they were $15,000. And she said, it doesn't matter. It's worth it. And she loved them. And she sat there and she listened for another hour with me. And what has happened is she now listens 1 or 2 nights a week with me, where she usually doesn't do that. Most of you who buy high-end audio know our significant others aren't usually too much into the music like we are. But she has fallen. These are the first speakers that touched her heart and soul. And that's a non-audiophile person. She sees how special these speakers are when she used to just think a speaker was a speaker. And I was crazy for buying all this audio stuff, because why can't you just play it on a little Bluetooth speaker? That was her previous kind of thought. All right, so another thing about these DeVilles, they are 94 dB efficient, meaning you can drive them with lower powered tube amps. You can drive them with high powered amps. I am running them right here with a pair of Pass Labs XA60.8 monoblocks. And these, are they overkill for these speakers? Not really, because these speakers, you can go, they scale very well, meaning the better you feed them, the better they're going to sound. Now, the Pass Lab stuff leans a little warm. These lean a little warm. So if I wanted to liven things up a bit, I could change out, for example, the preamp. I have an XP10 Pass preamp, which is known to lean a little warm. I'm using cables, Cardus clear reflection cables, which are known to lean a little warm. So I could liven these up if I wanted to by changing cables, by changing the preamp to say something else, a tube preamp. Now, I did try a couple of tube amps with these speakers. I hooked up my Wilsonton R8, and it brightened up the top end a little bit, but it still retained that smooth, silky sweetness. But it did have a little more liveliness over the Pass Labs, but where I lost out over the Pass was the body, and the bass is just really powerful with the Pass stuff. I tried a under $800 EL34 tube amp from Amazon. It was a China-made amp. The first one came DOA, dead on arrival. I got another one, and it sounded beautiful. So what I have found is these speakers sound really good with Class A sound amplification or tubes, Class A. You probably can run these as well with a single-ended triode amp, and I bet they would sound sublime. So you have a wide variety of amplification to choose from. I wouldn't feed these with a cheap $300 receiver. I don't think anybody would. If you're going to spend almost $15K on a set of speakers and stands, you want to make sure you have quality going into them. But this is a beautiful organic ethereal system. Again, my room is 13 by 18. It's a little messy right now. I have some camera stuff. I have a couch. The walls are all wood. Have my LaScala poster there. And this is it. This is where I sit at night and listen. Sit in the morning and listen. When I listen, I do pull these down, because when they're pulled up and the glass is there, the sound isn't quite the same because of the reflections. So yeah, that's how I'm running the DeVilles. The treble is the opposite of harsh. It's smooth, it's silky, it's extended but not overdone. Some of you might want a little more treble excitement, as a matter of fact. They're not the kind of speaker that's going to wow you out of the gate. And speakers that do that wow you with that treble and that detail. But then over time, you realize, well, they're giving me detailed music, but they don't sound good with this record I got from 1986. They don't sound good with this digital recording of my hard rock or heavy metal, or they just sound flat. So many speakers in the high-end realm, you have to play perfect recordings through them to get the most out of them, right? You stop listening to your favorite music because it sounds like crap through them. And I'm guilty of that. I've done that when I had a high-end system that wowed me with the high-end in detail, but then I couldn't listen to my old records. I couldn't listen to my old digital files because they sounded flat, compressed, and like garbage. With the DeVilles, I'm going back through my record collection and I'm listening to those records from the 80s, the records that I had when I was a kid, and the digital files that I used to think sounded unlistenable, and they sound gorgeous on the DeVilles. I can listen to any music on the DeVilles, and it presents, I should say, the music in my room in such a beautiful way. And I could care less about measured performance of anything. To me, this is what should measure music right here. Our brain and our ears is the only measurement tool that can measure music when you listen to it. If a speaker speaks to my heart, makes me feel good, heals my soul, takes me to another place when I'm listening, I can listen for hours on end, then that speaker is doing something right. And the Fleetwood Deville is just one of those speakers that presents music. Living, breathing music with soul. Now I have a medium-sized room, 13 by 18. I think these will do well in a small but more medium-sized room. You don't want to put these in too small of a room, and I don't think you want to put these in too huge of a room either. I don't need any subwoofer with these at all. They are fully balanced. They sound great top to bottom. And again, I can listen to heavy metal, rock, anything I want. And by the way, these are great rock speakers as well.
I'm forever yours, faithfully.
These are not as dynamic as my Klipsch LaScalas, but they are more present and a little warmer than the Klipsch speakers. So I've never heard a speaker like these in my life. I've never had one that looks as beautiful as these do in the flesh. So I have zero regrets on buying the Fleetwood Devilles. I love them. They're going to stay in my reference room as my reference. My LaScalas are going to be back in a system number 2. I'm in my guest house here, and I have another system I'm working on with the LaScalas. I have the Heritage Specials. I have a little turntable system here. So I still have all these other speakers that I enjoy when I'm over here. If you want to listen to the DeVilles, there are dealers out there, by the way. If you live in Phoenix, I highly recommend Arizona HiFi, one of my favorite shops, HiFi shops of all time. I used to go there at least once a week when I lived in Phoenix. Arizona HiFi, they have the DeVilles on demo. You can go there and listen to them. If not, Fleetwood Sound's website, they offer a 2-week home trial like I took advantage of. I decided to keep them. No regrets. You can check them out through Fleetwood Sound. Again, I do have the full written review. I'll put a link to that in the description below, along with a link to Fleetwood Sound's website. These are truly special. They're one of a kind. And while they might not be for everyone in looks or sound, they surely ticked all the boxes for me. If you like this video, thumbs up and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. I'm going to go to the house over there and listen to the DeVilles right now.
Let's play one for money now.